Hello again everyone, this is day 2 of the autumn deep clean and we are today in the kitchen. So the kitchen I'm thinking is going to take 3, maybe 4 days of work because there is so much to do in here. So I'm going to start today, as I always do when I'm doing the deep clean. I'm going to start with the high up cleans. So things like the cabinet tops, inside the upper cabinets, shelves, walls, ceiling, the cooker hood, the extractor fan, things like that. And then tomorrow I'm going to move on to the kind of mid layer, which is the worktops, tiles, some of the appliances, radiator, things like that. And then day 3 I'm going to be doing the low level, so the lower cabinets, lower appliances, floor, etc. The only thing that might overrun is the appliances. It's going to depend on how long it takes me to clean those. I think I'll be alright for 3 days, but it might be that I will move the appliances onto day 4 and make it a 4-day clean instead. The reason why I've got it over this many days, when realistically I probably could get it done in 2, is because I still have work in the evenings. So I have only kind of a few hours in the morning where I can get this done. I've also got the rest of the house to keep on top of and errands and things to run. So I've only got sort of 2 or 3 hours that I can spend in here each day. So I'm not going to run any more than that. I'm going to get a ladder and we're going to start on the top level of this clean. Okay, so let's get going. I am starting off with the tops of the cabinets. Up here there is a lot of dust and a lot of kind of accumulated grease from cooking, mainly from I think probably the deep fat fryer. So I'm going in with some elbow grease spray, which cuts through grease very easily, very quickly, and has a lovely lemon scent as well. I always have elbow grease in my cupboard. It's one of my go-tos for doing deep cleans in the kitchen. And I'm just using a kind of disposable cheap sponge to clean those off. And then I'm going to go over it last of all with a microfiber cloth, just to remove any of the excess moisture that I've left on there. So at this point I had to stop to go and get changed. Jumpsuits, heat and deep cleaning are not made for each other, so I just went and popped a light pair of trousers and a t-shirt on so I could move a little bit easier and get on with it, because it would have taken me all day in a jumpsuit. So I'm moving on to my cooker hood. I'm in at the moment using the Method stainless steel cleaner to do the main kind of chimney area of the cooker hood, and then I'm going to move down to the glass. So the glass again has quite a lot of grease on it, so I'm going to go through first with my elbow grease spray and the sponge. I've just down to the side of me, I've got a bowl of very hot water that I'm just rinsing the sponge off in as I'm going through. Like I say, there was a lot of grease on here, so I wanted to remove that before I actually go in with my glass cleaner and clean the glass properly and kind of buff it and make it all shiny. So I did notice that I've got a couple of screws on the chimney a little bit loose here at the moment, so I'm going to go and tighten those up later. And I've taken out the main cooker hood filter, and that's currently sitting in boiling water with some fairy liquid, just having a bit of a soak to remove some of the grease that's in there as well. So now the main grease is off of the glass, I'm just going in with the Method glass cleaner. It has a kind of very subtle minty scent, but I find it's really good. It buffs up the glass well, it doesn't streak so long as you don't use too much. I have discovered if you use a lot of this it will streak, but it's fine if you're just using a small amount on the glass. It cleans it really well, and it gives it a nice shine and a bit of a sparkle too. So I've just gone on with that on the top, and I'm using the residual elbow grease that's on this sponge just to clean the glass underneath. There's not too much of a build up on this, there's just a few kind of splatters from cooking, and I will do the same with this as I've done with the top, just go over it real quick. So I was just checking those screws to make sure nothing was going to fall off. It's fine, I just need to come back and tighten it up later. I'm not sure how a screw has managed to come loose from it's just the bit where the kind of the chimney attaches onto this main hood bit. How it's managed to come loose is beyond me, probably where I've been cleaning it, but I'll just come and tighten that up later on once I've finished with the clean. So here I am just giving that cooker hood filter a little bit of a scrub with the sponge. It's not particularly thick, it's not particularly difficult to clean. I find if you soak it in some nice hot water for 5 or 10 minutes, it does the job of getting the majority of the grease off of this. And then I'll just give it a quick scrub and a rinse off, and then all it's got to do is dry. I tend to leave it to air dry, but sometimes I will go over it with a tea towel and just get some of the moisture off and pop it back in. It's never caused a problem, but I would recommend you leave it to dry to complete dryness before you put it back in. So I apologise for the slightly wobbly camera here. I was trying to show you the top of the cabinets and I couldn't get my tripod to set up. I'm not on my normal tripod at the moment, so I just held the camera and did best I could. But yeah, again, elbow grease spray, sponge, wipe it clean, and then go over it with the microfiber. Nice and easy. So this is the last of my 3 top cabinets. This one doesn't really get all that dirty because, as you could see, I have the chopping boards sitting on it, so they're very, very rare use, those chopping boards. We do occasionally bring them down, and in the meantime they just sit up there and they stop things accumulating on top of the cupboards. My plan is to measure up all of my cupboards and to grab some nice storage baskets to put on top of them to stop us, because we kind of dump things on top of the cabinets where there's no room for anything else. So I want some baskets up there for rare use things. One of the rare use things that I do want to house in the baskets on top of the cabinets is when they installed this boiler a few years ago, they left like some tools for when they service it. There's like some big kind of plastic spanner things that they've left on top of the boiler, and they use that when they come out and they do the boiler service each year. So I don't want to throw them away, obviously, because they clearly are needed to do the boiler service, but at the same time I don't want plastic sitting on top of a hot boiler. So things like that, that's the perfect reason to have the baskets. Things that are used once, maybe twice a year, but they are necessary, but they need to be out of the way. So the baskets will house things like that. My Christmas cookie cutters, these weird spanner things, the radiator bleeding keys, random once a year kind of things can live in those baskets. And then they're not taking up space in the cupboard, but they're also not sitting in probably not ideal locations like on top of a hot boiler. So the boiler was really, really quite dusty. I think I must have missed it on my spring clean. I'm not sure how. I might have a look back on my video and see if I actually did it, but it was really, really dusty, and it was plaster dust as well, so that's from where they've put the kitchen in. So I must have missed it, or alternatively I'm going insane. But it was really, really dusty up there, so that's all been dealt with now and it's nice and clean. So the last kind of high top of anything that I need to clean is the fridge. We have a new fridge. It's been in for, I don't know, a month and a half, 2 months, something like that, so it's not dirty up here. But it being a flat surface in my house, of course, things are starting to get dumped on it. Now, what I would like to sit on top of this fridge, purely to stop other things from getting put on it, is the big chopping boards. Where they were before, on top of that cabinet, was a little bit too high for me to reach. So every time I needed those big chopping boards, I would have to get the ladder out, set it up, climb up it, get the boards down, and all of that. Whereas if they sit on top of the fridge here, where you can see me putting them, I can reach this from the ground without any concern. So I would rather they sit up there for the purpose of I can reach it, and the purpose of it makes it easier. It stops other things from getting dumped up there. So next on my list today, I really want to deal with the window and door. So on this window before, I had like the one-way mirror film, which worked really, really nicely. This house, I know you can't really see it from where the camera is, but there's a house right over the way, and we are really, really, really overlooked in our kitchen. And quite often I do look out of my kitchen window and see them just staring in. It's really uncomfortable. So I've taken down the mirror film today because although it's wonderful in the day, in the night time or in the early morning before the sun has come up, when I have my light on in here, they can see me. And I don't like that. Quite often I'm filming, it makes me feel a little bit self-conscious. I don't like it. So once I have cleaned the window today and the door and the frames and all of that, I'm going to be putting up some of my remaining frosting film. I got the frosting film for the coffee table a couple of months ago, and I frosted the coffee table, and I'm much happier with it now. But I do have some of the frosting stuff left over, so I'm going to put that on this window. So not is it only going to block their view both day and night, but it's also going to diffuse the light and make it feel brighter in the kitchen. Our kitchen is at the back of the house, it's north facing, it does not get direct sunlight at any point of the year. This back wall, the sun does not hit it at any point of the year. So to have a bit of diffused light in the kitchen will be really, really nice. It's going to help it to feel brighter, but also we will have that privacy as well. So my goal today was to get this window as clean and junk free as I possibly could, ready for this film to go on. So initially I cleaned it with my Dishmatic. I've got a new head on it, which is one of the pink and white anti-scratch ones, because I did scratch my coffee table with my Dishmatic before and I didn't want to scratch the window. So I've got one of the non-scratch ones on it. So that's had hot soapy water with the Dishmatic, and now I'm going over it with my my Method window cleaner or glass cleaner as well. So that should be super duper clean. So while I have my hot water, I'm just going to go over the door quickly, and I will come back and put the film on in just a moment. So the routine for the door, is absolutely the same as the window. It's go over it quickly with a sponge with some just hot soapy water, go over the glass with the Dishmatic. I'm not going to bother using the Method glass cleaning stuff on this because, as you can see, it's already frosted, so you can't see streaks, so I'm not too concerned. As long as I know it's clean, it's fine. And then I will come back in just a moment and we'll put the frosting film on the lower window. I'm probably not going to bother putting it onto the top window because even if they can see in through that, all they'll see is my light bulb and maybe this top cow picture that I've got up here. They certainly can't see us and we can't see them. So I'm happy to leave that one as it is. But if I do put the film up and it does look weird, I will also frost the top one as well. So for the bottom half of the door, I'm just using a little bit of flash spray. This is the, I'm trying to remember, is it bicarb? The bicarb one, it's blue. And it smells like eucalyptus, it's really nice. Just because where we sometimes take the bins out, sometimes we will get like bin juice or whatever on the bottom of the door. This door has a nasty habit of not staying open. Even if we wedge it, it will squish the wedge into the door frame so it doesn't stay open, so you do end up kind of smacking it with the bin bags sometimes when you're going out with those. So yeah, just wanted to make sure that was disinfected properly. So I've just misted the window with some water and I continued to stand here for 20 minutes. It was in the end. I ended up cutting the camera. 20 minutes trying to get the corner of the film to peel off from the backing. It took some doing and I got very frustrated, but yes, 20 minutes later I did actually achieve it and it was time to put the film on. I've cut it to size using the kind of grid pattern on the back as a guide and I'm really happy it's done. It looks so much nicer in there now. So I will miss looking through the window and seeing my little garden. But I do tend to wander out there every morning with my cup of tea in my dressing gown and my slippers and have a look at what everything's doing anyway. So I think the need for privacy from the kitchen is greater than the need for me to stare out at the garden, because I'm out there anyway most mornings. But yeah, I'm much happier with how it's looking now. So I'm moving back now to the cabinets. I'm going to be doing the inners of the cabinets now. This shouldn't take too long. I did do them on the spring clean, and I have been kind of going around and giving them a quick wipe down every now and then as well. The only issue with this particular cabinet was we have a jar of, it was either golden syrup or treacle, one of the two. I don't know why it's even in there. We don't even use it. But it had kind of leaked, as those tins always do, into the cabinet. I thought it wasn't going to come off the shelf, but I was pleasantly surprised. It would seem when I did my spring clean and I was putting like the protective liners in the cupboards that I didn't do this cupboard. I could have sworn I did, but there were no liners, so I'm going to go and grab that roll off camera and I'll put some lining bits on each shelf just to prevent that from happening in the future. I have loads of it left. I'm looking for cupboards to line all the time because I've got so much of it left. So you can see here the mess that the golden syrup has made. It was quite scary. I thought it was golden syrup and rust and it wouldn't come off, but look, you could see how easy that came off. I did use the elbow grease spray just in case it was difficult to shift, but it came off nice and easy. And then it was just a wipe down with the microfiber to dry it, a little bit of a clean on the bottom of each shelf, and they're ready to go back into the cupboard. Okay, so with all the shelves back in, all there is left to do with this upper cabinet is to go over it with some Zoflora. So I am using the spiced plum Zoflora in some nice hot water with a clean microfiber cloth, and I'm just going to go over it really quickly to make sure everything's disinfected and clean, but also because it smells yummy too. So as the eagle-eyed among you may have spotted, I've got my headphones on now. I find that I need music to keep me motivated, well, especially when I'm doing things like deep cleans. But I have recently started listening to audiobooks. Now at the moment, I'm not ready to commit to a subscription. So I'm finding audiobooks on YouTube and listening to those as I'm doing things and trying to kind of educate myself as I'm going along, and it's working out really nicely. At the moment, my favourite types of audiobook are kind of psychology books. I'm really interested in psychology and human behaviour and things like that. I find it absolutely fascinating. So today I'm listening to The Art of Seduction, not for those means, but it's really interesting how these kinds of things can affect the behaviour of yourself and people around you without it having to be kind of intimate. But I love this book. I'm finding it really, really fascinating. There's, I think, 3 videos on YouTube of an audiobook of this, and I've been listening to it for days. Like, any spare time I get, I'm putting The Art of Seduction on. I think it's The Art of Seduction. I think that's what it's called. But yeah, it's fascinating. And you realise how you've been kind of seduced by people and ideals and things while you've been, like, throughout your life. While listening to this book, you think, oh my gosh, so that's why I found this person so interesting, or that's why I found this company so interesting. It's fascinating. I love psychology. If anybody knows of any good psychology audiobooks, please let me know, because I love it. I'm so interested in psychology. I wish I had realised how interesting I would find it when I was at school, because I definitely would have gone on and gone further into psychology. It's fascinating. But yeah, I got off topic. At the moment, I'm just cleaning the shelf liners that I did put in the spring. They are quite easy to clean. The only bugbear of mine is it takes them a long while to dry, which is a little bit annoying, but they're very, very easy to clean at least. I did actually end up pegging these on the washing line, and they dried in about 20 minutes. It was wonderful. Make sure you got a hot day for it. So my last upper cabinet is this one here. This is the one where I keep all of my plates and bowls and cups, and apparently tea and coffee now too. It was never my intention to have tea and coffee and hot chocolate and stuff in this cupboard. It was literally just going to be plates, bowls, cups, mugs. That's all I wanted in here. But I did find, kind of as I'm clearing things out and as I'm trying to reorganise my home and my life, that it does make sense to have things where you use them. And we were kind of walking halfway across the kitchen to get tea bags to refill the jars, and then they wouldn't get put away because you'd have to walk back over the kitchen to go put them away. So it actually made more sense to have them here. So what I'm going to do when I put everything back is I'm just going to make a proper space for them so that they have a permanent home here. I won't show you me putting everything back because I'm boring. I'll just show you the emptying out and the cleaning elements of it. You get the general idea. Of course, everything goes back in a much neater, more organised fashion. So with the insides done, all that I had left to do was go over it with a bit of Zoflora, which I'm currently doing in the inners, and I will do on the outsides as well. Pop everything back. And then the last thing that I'm going to be getting to today is my 2 small shelves. They've not been in very long, they're not particularly dirty, but I'm going to give them a quick go over today. And that is going to be it for day 1 of the kitchen. I'm glad that I managed to get all the uppers done. I was rather hoping that I would be able to get a couple of appliances done today as well, but unfortunately I did not. But that's okay, because I have a day scheduled for those, and I will get up earlier tomorrow and spend more time in here. So that is going to be it for day 1. I will see you all on day 2, coming up next. Good morning. So today is kitchen clean day 2, and I'm going to be working on the midsection of the kitchen along with the appliances as well. I've decided to get those done today, because the worktops and tiles is only a really quick job, so I can probably attach that on to tomorrow's low-level cleaning where I do the cabinets and the floor and things. But I really want to prioritise getting the washing machine, the cooker, fryer, kettle and fridge done today, so that I'm no longer worrying about them. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the fridge, the cooker. I do the cooker, and oh my gosh, washer. It's very early. I'm going to do the washer first because that can be going through and doing its thing while I'm doing the other bits and bobs. So I will set the washer going, and I will start at that end with the fridge and work my way around the appliances slowly. I need to change the filter in the kettle and descale that. The fryer always needs cleaning. The cooker shouldn't be too bad because it's relatively new, so it shouldn't take too long today. And then by the time I've gone through those things, the washer should be done with its service wash, and I can just go over the outside of it. So we'll start with this and work our way around and see how much we can get done today. Okay, so off we go with the washer. The very first thing that I'm going to do today is I'm going to take out the filter. I have put down a couple of tea towels that were already dirty and waiting to go into the wash, because when I take my filter out it pools water everywhere. I am not fortunate enough to have one of those machines that's got the tiny hose. Definitely when this machine is finished in the world, my new machine, I will be looking for one with the tiny little hoses that you can pull out and drain it a little bit easier. But it really smelled in there. The water that was coming out smelled awful, and somehow, don't ask me how, somehow a small piece of slate from the garden had gotten into the laundry and ended up in the filter. So I'm guessing that was what was causing the smell. Normally when I pull the filter out there isn't really a smell. It might be slightly kind of damp smelling, but this was really bad. It was almost like the sewers had gone. So I'm very glad that I got that out today and gave it a good clean, and since then it's been totally fine. I took it out the day after this was filmed and it was still smelling okay. If not the slate, the only other thing that I can think that it could possibly be, the only thing that I've been doing differently is that I've been using the, what are they called? Unstoppables. I've been using those. The laundry has been smelling amazing, but I'm wondering if they're leaving a residue in the machine. I know that lots of people say that these things do leave a residue, and I'm wondering if that's what is causing the funky smell in the filter. However, I have run out of those, and I don't intend to get any more because they are quite expensive, and although they make the laundry smell beautiful, they're not good for the environment, they're not good for the clothes, they're not good for the machine. You know, I'm probably not going to bother with those again in the future. I like how they look and I like how they smell. So a sad reality, but a reality all the same. So I've just cleaned the drawer inner and the filter in some hot soapy water, and now I'm going into the inside of the drawer with a bit of Viacal spray because this gets scaled up. Obviously we are in a hard water area, so I'm going in with Viacal both in the drawer area and in the filter just to break up any lime scale that is building in these areas. I haven't left it to sit in the filter because I didn't notice any build up of lime scale, but I am going to leave it to soak for a few minutes in the drawer area because that really is starting to gunk up a little bit, and I think it'll make the world of difference. Once I have finished doing this, I will run a rinse cycle before I put in the washing machine cleaner, because I don't know if the Viacal is going to react with the chemicals in the cleaner, and nobody wants that, so I will do a rinse first. But I'm just going in with my little sonic scrubber. I got mine from Amazon, but my sister actually picked up a pink stuff set in B&M that had a pot of pink stuff, I think a cloth, and one of these little scrubbers in it as well, and significantly cheaper than what I paid for mine on Amazon. So if you're after one of these handy little gadgets, they are particularly useful for washing machine drawers. Then definitely head down to B&M and see if you can find one of the pink stuff sets. I think it was like really cheap, like $4.99 maybe even less than that. I'll have to ask her. But yeah, this is the rinse cycle just going through now, just to get rid of any residual Viacal that is left in those areas I've just cleaned. So I'm moving on now to the fridge. I'm going to be doing this while the machine is doing its rinse, and then I'll head back over to the washing machine once that's done and put in the proper cleaner. But the rinse cycle is about half an hour, so it's perfect for me to pull everything out of the fridge, give the fridge a good clean, and get that done while I'm waiting. So today was the day before the big weekly shop. So the perfect day to clean inside the fridge because there's not that much going on here. Anyway, I really want to try today and move the wire bottle rack that's in this fridge up. It didn't work out. I can't remember if I actually filmed it. I wanted it at the top. However, where the door shelves are, it means the wire rack causes them to, it kind of bashes onto them if it's at the top, and unfortunately it won't close. So it ended up staying where it was in the end anyway. And for the life of me, I could not get this top shelf out, and I really didn't want to break it because it's a new fridge. Now, I remember when we got this, putting these little door shelves in, and it was really hard to get in as well. So I'm just leaving it be and cleaning it in situ. I do take the bottom one out though, because that one comes out like a charm. I'm just going over everything with a little bit of hot soapy water, and once again a little bit of Zoflora on a cloth just to disinfect everything. I'm using a very, very weak dilution of it in the fridge because obviously it's quite highly scented, and scents can taint food, so I don't really want huge scent in here. I do want it disinfected. We are getting into that season where everyone starts to get sick. Germs and bugs and all sorts of nasties are starting to float around. And, you know, it's just one more thing that I can do to try and keep everybody healthy in the house as we go into my favourite seasons of the year, autumn and winter. I'm so excited. Now, don't get me wrong, I like a bit of summer. I like being able to go out without my coat on and just enjoy the warm air and the breeze and the bird song and the tree leaves rustling in the breeze, all that good stuff. But nothing beats autumn for coziness, and I love to feel cozy. I love to bake comfort food, like big, gorgeous autumn meals and hot puddings. And then, of course, winter comes in after that with Christmas, which is my absolute favourite time of the year. So we are coming into my time now. This is my time. It's going to be all autumn, winter, Christmas content from here on in. And I'm very, very happy about it. But anyway, went off topic there. I've just taken the bits that I could get out over to the sink where I have some nice hot water with a little bit of fairy liquid in it, nothing more, nothing less. And I'm just going over all of them bits and giving them a bit of a clean. I don't know how, I guess it must be because there's moisture in the fridge, right? But every time you put a cardboard box in the fridge, it sticks to the damn shelf. And it makes me so angry. It makes me crazy because I will clean this and then in a couple of days' time it will have a piece of cardboard stuck to it again. I did buy a load of glass dishes to kind of decant food into in the fridge because people, I found, my family anyway, eat food when it's put into pretty pots more than they would eat food that's just sat in a cardboard box or a tub or something, because my family are very visual. If they see it, they want it. So the food doesn't spoil. So we end up getting more value from our food because we're not throwing it away. And while I was using those, there was no cardboard stuck to the fridge. But unfortunately, nobody else likes them. Nobody else likes the glass dishes. So it feels like it's just me against the whole family trying to keep the glass dishes current and, you know, going through the motions. But hey, I'll get there in the end. I will win. My fridge is going to be pretty. We've got this beautiful new fridge. My husband spent, I don't know how much on it, but more than I wanted to spend. It's got, you know, this nice cold water dispenser. It's a nice fridge. It's got a wine rack. You know, let's have some pretty pots in it. Is it really going to hurt anybody if I've got pretty pots in it? Probably not. So next up, I'm going over to the kettle. I really don't like this kettle. I think I've mentioned it before. It's not a bad kettle by any stretch of the imagination, but it is an awkward kettle. Because we don't have a power socket down at this end of the kitchen near the sink, we have to keep a jug by the kettle that we fill with water, and then we pour it into the kettle, into the Brita filter kind of reservoir bit that's in the top of the kettle. And then you have to come back a few minutes later and pour another reservoir full, because the reservoir does not hold enough to actually fill the kettle. And then even when the kettle is filled, we're talking 10 minutes later now, 2 cycles through the filter, it's still only enough for 4 cups of tea. And there's 5 of us here, and when my dad comes around, that's 6. You know, it's taking us 20-25 minutes to make just a cup of tea for everybody. It's not practical for a big family. If you are living alone or a couple and you're in a hard water area like we are, where you don't trust the water, it's great. It's a great little kettle. It's just not for us. We need one that's got a larger capacity and one that we can just fill, boil and go. So my plan is, obviously we still have the issue of we are in a hard water area. So I'm going to get a filter jug, Brita filter jug, one of the ones you put into the fridge, and I'm going to put the filtered water into that, and then we're just going to pour from that jug into the kettle, so that we're not really waiting. We could put water into that jug at any point. We're not waiting for everyone to have a cup of tea first. So at this point, the washing machine had finished its rinse cycle. That Viacal's gone now, and I've checked that I've got the filter back in properly. So now I've got one of the little Dr. Beckman's washing machine service clean powder sachet Wotsits, and that is going in on a 60-degree wash, and it's going to do its thing perfectly happily while I get on with the rest of the kitchen. So back to the kettle, I have just boiled it, and now I am going to pop in some... No, I haven't just boiled it. I've been rambling that long, I've already descaled it. Okay, so before I boiled the kettle, popped a couple of descaling tablets in, and it's done its descaling thing. I've given it a couple of rinses, I've changed the cartridge in it, and we're moving on now to the cooker. So like I said earlier on in the video, this should not be too bad. I clean this top every day. I'm still finding joy in cleaning it. It's one of my favourite things to clean. It gets dirty every single time someone uses it. There's no avoiding that in this house. We're just messy cooks, all of us, myself included. We are just messy cooks. We slop things around, we splash things. So this needs cleaning every single day. But I'm still loving it. I love that I can clean it and actually get a kind of before and after feel, like, yes, I have cleaned this and now it looks clean. I'm still very much enjoying that. The old cooker, I could clean it until my arms were sore and it would still look dirty because of the pan marks on the glass hob. I will never get a glass hob again. It's gas hobs all the way for me. And I'm loving that we chose the stainless steel one as opposed to a kind of painted enamel one, because we don't have that concern about later on, if it gets wet, the paint chipping or any rusting or anything like that. Very happy. So this is the first time I've actually pulled the knobs off of the cooker top. They were stiff as anything. I did not want to go. It really hurt my finger. But they're all going to get washed individually, and I'm just going to go behind them as best I can with the sponge and just clean up behind them where drips and things have got onto the steel. Another thing I really like about this cooker is that the angle that the knobs are on. So most cookers, like freestanding cookers, have like horizontal not horizontal, vertical, sorry, vertical bits that the knobs are on, they're on the front. And you get drips that go right down behind the handles, and it's really hard to get to. And this is so much easier. You just don't get as many drips down there, so it's so much easier to give it a clean. So moving on now to the glass cooker top, we'll call it, cooker lid, whatever you want to call it. This gets mucky, it does, but again, it gets cleaned every day, so it's really not an issue. I tend to go over it with hot soapy water and then my Method glass cleaning spray, and comes up a charm every time, no bother whatsoever. So like I say, this is my first time cleaning the inside of my oven and my grill. It's really not bad in here at all. It's got the lining, the self-cleaning lining that you just whack them up to like 220, 230, and it burns off anything that's gotten onto the sides of the oven, which is awesome. But I do still have to clean the bottoms of the oven and the grill. So I have liners that go in here that save a lot of the trouble. You can see how clean that cloth came out. There was barely anything there. So if I do this once every couple of weeks, I'm going to save myself a lot of hassle and a lot of stress later down the line cleaning the oven. It used to take me hours to clean my old one, it just wasn't practical. I also love that this one has the sides that you can remove. My last one didn't. So again, an absolute plus for this one. It was an expensive cooker for a freestanding cooker. It was almost £1,000. Well, it was 1,000 by the time we had it installed and hooked up to the gas. But honestly, I think it's worth every penny. It's a great little cooker. I love it. So normally I would take the glass out. I was a little bit concerned about doing that because my old oven had writing on the glass that said this way towards the oven, and I need to check out if it's the same with this, if it's got like one weak side that's not so heat protected and one that's not, or if I can have them any way around. I need to grab the manual out and check. But I really didn't want to pull them out and then accidentally put the glass in the wrong way and have it shatter. So it's something I'll need to check out before I do the next clean. The oven door was a little bit more mucky than the grill door was, for obvious reasons. We use the oven way more, but it still came up really kind of easy, to be honest, with the elbow grease spray. So I was happy with that. Job done. Never had the cooker cleaned this quickly before in all my life. It's amazing. All I need to clean now is just like the little hob top bits, and she should be all done. Okay, next on the agenda we have the fryer. I hate cleaning this thing. I hate that we possess this thing. I hate everything about this thing, but I like the chips that come out of it. I won't deny that. I like myself some chips. So usually with this, it's patience, hot water, and elbow grease spray. They are my winning combination for cleaning these horrible little gadgets. As you can see, it's absolutely trashing the sponge. It really is. But all the sides get covered in grease, the top gets covered in grease. Obviously the basket inner is always covered in grease. So what I tend to do is I soak the basket and I soak the lid while I spray the elbow grease spray on the outside, and I clean that up. That is the easiest part of it to clean up. It comes up easy enough with the hot water, the elbow grease spray and the sponge. Is it perfect? No, absolutely not. It's never going to be perfect, but I am not going to spend hours of my life stood by this sink scrubbing this thing until it is perfect, because the very next time that some chips get dropped in this, it's just going to spill more grease everywhere. So it's getting a clean, it's getting a that'll do clean, that's good enough clean. And then I will move on, because like I say, I think the last time I actually cleaned this to as good as new, it took me borderline 4 hours. My hands were raw and cut where there's kind of sharp edges on the stainless steel. And literally the day after, my husband did some battered fish, and yeah, it was destroyed. I'm just not wasting my time with that anymore. This is a job that I really don't want to have to do. I was hoping when we got the air fryer that this thing would be completely eliminated from our existence, but none of us like the chips from the air fryer. We've tried various different recipes, methods, cooking times, cooking temperatures, etc., to try and get the chips to taste not even as good, but good enough, you know, from the air fryer, and it's just not happening. So unfortunately we're stuck with this until we stop being little fatties and wanting our chips all the time, which means now and then I've got to clean the pesky thing. I do want to replace it though. I would like to have one that is not so open, if you know what I mean. We used to have one that looked very much like the air fryer. It had like a lid that kept everything in but the steam, whereas this one, you know, you're getting steam and grease coming out of it. It's more of a kind of industrial style one, and it's got a bigger capacity because obviously there's 5 of us. But yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to have to change it out because we're at the point with this now. I think we've had it for about 3 or 4 years, and where I have cleaned it on like the temperature selection knob, all of the paint has come off, so you have no idea what temperature it's currently set to. If we need to change it for whatever reason, we don't know how hot it is. So yeah, I'm going to have to change it at some point. But it's so low on my priority list, it might be that it's with us for another couple of years yet. We just tend to leave it on the same temperature and hope for the best. I think it's set to kind of 160, and that does the job happily enough for us. I don't think we'll ever need to fry anything hotter than that, so all is well. But yeah, horrible thing to clean. Why does it have to have so many ribs and undulations on the lid? Why can it not just be a flat lid? Who designed this and went, let's give it some completely unnecessary ribs so that it's difficult to clean? Who designed that? It's madness. Anyway, I'm getting frustrated. So I did actually find that I had time to go over the worktops and the tiles today, much to my relief. That means there is less to do tomorrow. So I'm going to work around the kitchen slowly from the fridge round to the sink. I'm using my Method glass cleaner on the tiles because it brings them up with a really nice shine, and I'm just going over that with a glass cloth and giving them a little bit of a buff. I'm trying to do it as quickly as possible because I don't know if it's normal or not, but our sockets in the kitchen, they're not kind of sealed around, so moisture can get in behind them, like it can run down the tile like behind the socket, and to me that doesn't feel safe. So I try to get it done as quickly as possible so nothing can run behind the sockets. So for the worktops themselves, I'm just using the Dishmatic, the hot water, giving them a good old suddy scrubbing, and that's going to do for me. I will go over them afterwards, there I am, with a cloth that has been soaked in the Zoflora so that they are also disinfected. The last area of worktop and tile that I'll be working on today is down at the other end of my kitchen, where I keep all of my laundry supplies. I am so glad that I did the laundry corner. I know it's not the most beautiful thing to look at, and I know a lot of you in the States won't really understand why we have our laundry stuff in the kitchen in the UK. It's purely because our houses are tiny. In big houses here, in expensive houses here, you have a utility room. In kind of average, working class homes, we don't have a utility room. We have to have our laundry stuff in the kitchen. I don't love it. I'd much rather have a room that I can keep everything separately, but this was the best solution I could come up with for our home, was this kind of laundry dispenser. It's working out really well for me. Like I say, we don't have a socket up here, so I couldn't really have the kettle or anything up here. I'd much rather have that here. But it's working out really well as like a little laundry corner, so I won't knock it. I've got it as best as I can. It works, so I won't be changing it, and I'm really, really glad I did it, because now I don't have to dig around in the cupboard every single time I want to do a wash load. So the last thing that I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be doing the sink and the draining board. They are getting sprayed down with elbow grease because they're kind of icky today, and then I'll go over them with the Dishmatic brush, and then I will finally go over them with the mild dilute Zoflora. I've only been using the mild one today just because the scent is nice, but this is our worktops, our fridge, our sink, and I don't want anyone to get sick from the Zoflora, so I'm using a very mild solution today. Still smells amazing though. I do need to get some drain cleaner for this sink. I did use the last of that other one in the bathroom the other day, so I need to get some drain cleaner. So far it's all smelling fresh and good and everything's fine. I like to do it routinely anyway as kind of a preventative to kind of get rid of any build-up that's currently occurring in there. Okay, so end of day 2. I've got all of my worktops clean, I've got my fridge clean, I've got my cooker clean, the fryer, the kettle, and of course the washer, which is now washing my cloths. I really wanted to get the bins done today. They're overflowing a little bit. But I do have to go and start getting ready for work now. So tomorrow, the last day, day 3, will be the bins, will be the radiator. I will take that apart and clean that one like I did the one in the bathroom. Deep clean on the floor, and then I'll be cleaning in all of the lower cabinets tomorrow as well. So quite a lot of work to do. However, I have a kind of unexpected visit up to Raquel's on Sunday, so I really want to get it all done tomorrow. I'm only working in the morning, so I have all afternoon and evening to do it, so I think I'm going to get it all done. I will see you tomorrow morning.